team. Huzaifa is, mashallah, a very good student.
This meeting is being recorded.
Currently working as a software engineer in an IT company in Pakistan. He has background in electrical engineering and in computer science, but he has been working in the area of software. And he worked on a very good project. He wrote an academic paper on surveying how Arabic natural language processing is used for Quranic applications, and it is currently under review. So he has good research experience, good knowledge about AI. However, he's also very busy because he has now joined a new job and his thesis work has completed. But I had in mind that he could chip in as a collaborator and we could get a new student who could work on it. Because primarily I'm a researcher and I myself do not have expertise in software development. That's why I asked my colleague Bilal to come. But we do have expertise in, or we have some experience in AI and in academic research. So what we can do is we can see what kinds of things we can do with AI, and then that could guide application development. So but these things unfortunately, because of our current engagements, we have to bide the time for it. We have to look for an appropriate resource. Not many people have interest and expertise in doing such a project academically, because most of them I had a difficult time finding an appropriate student, but Huzaifa, had this aptitude and also relevant experience. So Huzaifa, I'm not sure if you can give us a brief presentation of your work. It would be nice if you could share your screen and share some aspects of your work, some actual interface, if you could show some results, some graphs, if you can. So that will be good to communicate to the team what kind of expertise and existing work you've done.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
I hope all of you are doing well. Thank you, Sir Junaid, for the kind introduction. Yes, sure. I can have, as Dr. Junaid has mentioned, that I have worked in the field of Quranic NLP in my previous more than 1 year. My thesis for the master's was mostly related to Quranic topic modeling work. And we have also done some small work related to some finding something relevant or that could be helpful for our society from the Quran, a few small works. And some of our work was a little bit closer to your work also, the MAQSIDDE work. Once we had done there was an idea about by Dr. Junaid that if we can somehow graphically relate using machine learning algorithms, we can relate the actions in Quran and what are their rewards mentioned in the Quran. For example, Quran says in Quran Allah tells us to offer namaz, and there are many other actions like to pay zakat and do jihad and other things, right? And there are and with these actions there are certain rewards attributed with them. So what we wanted to see was that is machine learning or any simple algorithm able to find out any relation of objectives, or you can say rewards, with these actions. So for that we had done a little bit of work that I can present to you graphically. Let me share the screen. Okay, Firefox is not allowing me to share the screen. Just give me a minute. I can open it in Google Chrome.
Please, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry for the disturbance.
No, don't worry about it. Take your time. After all, it's only technology, and we all have our fair share. SubhanAllah. just goes to tell you that, subhanallah, people believe in technology blindly, and it is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is لا يحول ولا يدور, that is always there for us.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, inshallah, you'll join again. Yeah, but that's good, alhamdulillah. I'm happy to hear that, that he has done some work in this, I'm eager to see. Yeah, and one of the things would be to kind of define the objective of the project. And that's where, alhamdulillah, of course, with your expertise, Akhi Junaid, and your colleague, that would be really amazing, because we have a high level idea. See, I've used target modeling. I was a practitioner of target modeling for many years, over 10 years. But that was like, in marketing and market optimization and risk targeting, all that stuff, and but my techniques were mostly regression based, SAS, but it has a stepwise kind of, trying to optimize the model. And then towards the end, where I did use decision trees and stuff like that. And then towards the end, we started using a bit more of the machine learning based. But when I was in finance, there's always the issue that you have to explain the model, and not allowed just to use a black box. But then I don't know if things has changed since I left the banking, because obviously AI, it's very hard to explain the model with AI models. So then I've kind of a little bit studied AI and Python and stuff like that for my own benefit. So I have so forgive that if I am try to talk about the subject that I'm not fully proficient in, but have a sense about it or of. أهلا وسهلا حذيفة. Welcome back. Let's try this again. MashaAllah.
Okay, so is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, so I have a few different graphs, right? So what I would try to show you, all these things will be interrelated. I will elaborate a bit along with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a very first graph, right? It is kind of a network, and this is extracted with the help of natural language processing.
Yes.
Not very gigantic machine learning algorithms, just a few simple champion natural language processing techniques, right?
No.
Okay. At the center of each cloud, you can see that there are certain attributes, right? Just like Tashkurun, if you could see, is it visible to all?
Yes. You're doing good.
Okay, right. And with this Tashkurun cloud, you could see there are certain orders that are attributed, right?
Yes.
Tashkurun is related to At'amahu, Amsahu, Ahfizu, Aksulu, Atharu, right? And then there is another attribute of Halun, those who are successful, right? If you want to succeed, if you want to be successful, so that you may be successful, right? So how can you be successful? Quran describes that if you do these actions, you could be successful, right? Usjudu, awidu, asbitu.
Huzaifa, if you can tell us how you derive this. I think you used Surah Baqarah to derive these. So can you tell us of the source data?
Yep. Actually, this is from whole Quran. So, or maybe it just Surah Baqarah, if I could recall, because it was done 6 to 7 months back. I'm not sure, but yeah, it is from the Quran. And so I could tell the methodology that how it is done, right? Basically, first of all, I has not been expert in
your voice cutting off.
Arabic language.
Okay.
because it I tried to learn was that what is the principle or in Quran, right? Am I audible? Certain attributes in the Arabic language, if which I follow, then I can somehow get the verses in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives an order. And then there is a reward attributed to it in the verse. Things which help us. For example, in a verse where the word la'allakum has been used, right? It is followed by the attribute or the objective that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala targets for us to achieve. For example, la'allakum tuflihun, la'allakum turhamun, la'allakum
No,
taskurun, so that you may remember, so that you may succeed, so that you may be
no,
so that
no. To be
you may be
successful,
successful.
to be forgiven, and to have mercy. No, no, mashallah. So,
So
yeah, this is wonderful, mashallah.
la'allakum was one of the basic words that
Okay, I'm going to disable my video just to see if that can improve the communication, because your voice is cutting off a little bit, akhi. Hudayfa.
collect the objectives. Yeah. From the same words, how we have to collect the order that on for. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to, maybe if you disable your video, we might get a
Okay,
better audio from
Sure.
you. Okay.
Let me do that.
All right. Inshallah. تفضل.
So I was. Is everyone on board? I can
Yes,
continue.
yes,
Yes, we
please
are
continue.
here. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. So, so for looking at the orders within a verse, what I could find was that each word ends at va alif, right? Or
No.
it ends at va noon, right? Va na taskuru. Sorry, va alif, and there was some other attribute, I guess va ha, something like that. Okay. So that was helping me collect the orders from within the verse. So this was one of the basic principles that guided me in collecting the orders and objectives from the verses. Another problem that was within this was that there were certain verses in which there were multiple orders, right? Like we can get a verse where we are ordered to go to Raku, do sajda, and then you would be successful, right? Usjudu or Raku. There could be multiple orders within a verse. So a basic principle was just catching the last order from it, or you can say the whole phrase from it. So in order to clean the whole graph, what I did was I using the NLP with machine learning, I tried to get each and every order separately, so that when there is a phrase collected, I looked upon it and I looked upon it in its order.
Yeah, your voice is cutting off.
And have small phrases also extracted, or
Maybe you can try moving somewhere in your house. Maybe the internet, Wi-Fi signals would improve.
Okay, just give me a second.
Okay, brothers. So just to summarize, the kinds of things Huzaifa has been doing is, he downloaded the Quranic, the data set first, all of the words. A lot of data is available. For example, Tanzeel.net has some data. Quran Corpus has some data. Afterwards, depending on what we are looking for, here we were trying to find what kinds of action follow some other action. So we had this thing in our mind, and then using Python language and certain libraries that are available, we could do that. So Huzaifa has some other examples as well, but the idea is, because I was aware of some of the work of Sheikh Jasir, and I shared that with Huzaifa about tafsir MAQSIDDE, looking for how things are related, how actions are related. So our idea is that what we are doing currently is just the starting point, but it can enable, the kinds of tools are available. Depending on what we are looking for, we can use and again, this is just basic NLP. We could go deeper into things and look at unsupervised learning. We did look at that as well. Various mathematical algorithms could be used for unsupervised learning, clustering of data, trying to see which, this was another thing that Huzaifa did, trying to see which surah and which ruku of Quran is similar to some other. So we also tried looking at this thematic similarity. So I think Huzaifa, you should also try to, it would be good if you can try to write this because Huzaifa has his thesis. He wrote a survey article, but these kinds of things, if we could write it down, I think it will be good for the community. And also if we could community source these tools. So, I mean, Huzaifa, do you have anything more to share?
No, this is it from my side related to the relative element.
No. Okay. So mashallah, so this is, I mean, of course, and please bear with us because this we might require some education here, alhamdulillah, if you don't mind. So here with this project, am I correct to say, like, you put the reward as a target for your search to optimize on or to seek, like, yuflihun, and then you found what is associated with yuflihun or yarhamun, or how did you do that? Was this did you start with a labeled data set? How did you do that?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Okay. So I would summarize how it is done. So I had whole Quranic corpus, the Arabic Quran with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I took a verse from the Quran at each step, right?
Mm-hmm.
And within that verse, I tried to look at the objective with the help of word la'allakum, right?
No.
So if I achieve, if that particular verse where target is being or objective is being mentioned, I took that verse and then took it to further process by looking at the starting words of the verse, right? That must contain an order for which a reward is being given, right? In order to see what are the word of orders, right? Allah Ta'ala says, go to pay zakat, go to jihad, go to sajda, perform ruku, right? Each of these words in Arabic end at two particular letters with successively va and alif, right?
To summarize, yeah, Huzaifa, please finish and then I'll just chip in. You may please finish.
Yeah. So those words were collected with the help of looking at the last letters of each word. So that was one of the way looking at the orders, and they were then connected with the objectives.
Yes, so we were just here we were trying to specifically look for the keyword la'allakum, and because that is one indication that this is indicating a sort of cause and effect, or if you do this, then this happens. This is what we give to our system, and then we sort of looked for the verses which has this keyword. And when we had those filtered verses, we applied certain rules of thumb to pick out the verbs. So, I mean, the logic was mostly, we supplied the logic and we just used Python and NLP libraries to do this sort of knowledge discovery at scale. So what we can do, already we can do these kinds of things manually, but with Python and these tools, we could do it at all of the Quran. We could, supply our queries, and these kinds of tools can do it for us all over the Quran. So this is a sort of query engine. You have certain query, you can formulate it in this way that I would like to see there in the Quran, such a thing happens. And then whatever you specify, the algorithm would bring that result to you. Huzaifa, do you have the notebooks accessible that you had, where you were showing this in a systematic and a gradual manner? That we could see some of the.
So was this like a rule-based logic, or with or without a labeled data set?
We did not.
So yes, sir, continue.
Yeah, Huzaifa, please.
Yes, this was a rule-based thing, but there isn't any labeled data set for it.
Okay. So you didn't use. Okay, good. So you just set out the parameters and let them just go find out, and then that's why you're having. So it's looking for لعلكم. That's a very specific series of easily recognizable in the Quran Kareem, and then and that's why, like, at the end, you're trying to make it possible for it to find this subset of rewards that ends with waw noon or ya noon or something like لعلهم يرحمون لعلكم ترحمون. So that is so it ends up with that, and then maybe a few other things if you perhaps you might have, and then you had a result. You trained it, or like basically you let the program run, and then I'm just curious, how many results did the NLP recognize or produce?
Can I show you the notebook? I guess that would be a very easy way to go through the process. Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So let's just show phrase. Okay.
So let me just zoom it a bit, and maybe it would be more clear. Okay. So yeah, in the start, these are just simple libraries loading for me, and then I have Quranic data set verse by verse within a CSV file, right? I load the data set, and then this is just simple pre-processing and splitting each verse into token of words, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it here, like this verse has been broken into words. Yeah. So moving on. Then I develop
by recognizing the space between the words, probably. Okay, good.
Yeah. So what is the next thing is the development of dictionary of objectives, right? So here you can see that I'm using that keyword lakum, right? So what it does is that if the word is already available, objective is already available there, it won't add in, and otherwise it would append to the dictionary. So these are the final words in the dictionary, right? Tatakun, tashkurun, tahtatun. These are first collected from all the verses.
Nice. And this is the one that was. These are the words that were in your output and the graph output.
Yes, these are the central words. Yeah.
Oh, great. These are wonderful.
Yeah. These are then further also processed to eliminate if there are some errors, or you can say that we cannot say that for Quran that these are miscellaneous data, but we can say that for our project purpose that was not a helpful word, right? For example, bilika, right? It is not an objective. So moving on, these were then the other checks to get the action retrieval, right? This function retrieves action verses for the objectives based on fail amr plural,
Correct.
right? Male version.
Mm-mm.
So these are then the further rules that are defined within these verses, and these have been matured with time, looking every time that okay, is that helpful or not, right? So that was developed continuously, right? First we looked at the verses with la'allakum, then we moved on. We have checked for the word amanu because it was creating some problem, right? So we created a check for that. Then
Mm-mm.
these checks are actually checking
As an exclusion, you're excluding
yeah,
amino because that is exclamation mark equal means not including. Okay, got it. Uh,
yeah.
okay, okay.
So this is the check for the action word. If the
Yeah,
last character is alif, yeah, and
yeah.
the second last character is va, so then we
Mm-mm.
move further in and check if the first character of that word is alif, alif hamza, and this is
Yeah,
another variation of alif hamza, right? So
yeah,
then
yeah,
we move forward with another check. So these are the rule based checks that help us retrieve the actions, right? And then we
yes,
append these
yes,
action
yes.
in our phrase. This is the phrase that
No,
appends that action for that particular verse and objective, right? These are
no.
then we actually have separate dictionary for each you can say the objective. A dictionary of
Yeah, so
dictionaries,
yes.
you can say, where
But
each
this
key
dictionary was auto-created, right? It is the program is creating the dictionary. You're not
yeah this
supplying it.
yeah no, this script is actually creating the dictionary. I
Correct.
have defined
Correct.
the function, I provided
Yeah.
it with the verse, right? Here we can see
Yeah.
that for verse in
Yes.
the dictionary key, right? Action is equal to action retrieval verse. This is that whole function. This gets the
Yes.
verse and
Yes.
provide me with the
Yeah.
action, right?
Yeah.
And then
No,
it
that's
appends to the particular objective of that verse, right? So if I
no,
look at the key tuflihun,
no, no,
these are the actions that are provided to me.
no,
Taqullah,
no.
and then I cannot pronounce it correctly without Arab. So
Yeah, well, it will
so
be
these are
in
the
the word.
yeah.
No, no,
And then moving
Jamil.
on, yes, you are trying to say something.
No, no, تفضل. Go ahead.
Okay, then these are just simple go aheads for making the file for presentation,
Jamil.
right? Here
Wonderful.
finally it generates the network graph. So I actually
MashaAllah.
generated different versions. Like this was for the visualization of short phrases, right? Where it
Yes.
can tell me Atiur Rasul, right? Aqimus Salat Zakat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there is another version which just tells me the basic orders, right? It would just tell me Attakullah, Asbiru, Attaku, right? Atasimu, right? So
No,
I was just trying to experiment with different versions, which makes more sense. So I had different variations for that:
no,
complete verse,
no,
short phrases of orders, and simple orders.
no. Jamil. MashaAllah.
I hope it made some
No,
sense
this
now.
is absolutely. Look, I mean, this is. I need you to understand that this what you're doing is incredible and amazing. Um, and these are. I understand this is a work that you can build so much on, and you can. I mean, this is maybe a first step, but even
Yeah.
this step it took a while. I mean, I know to get to this point, you worked a lot. Maybe just you have to know what words, what letters, what this and that to exclude, and that that probably took you some time with, of course,
Yes.
mashallah, supervision of would be Dr. Junaid, and you're
Yes.
working from Pakistan. I don't know if you had like some Arab, Arab Arabic specialist helping you or not. So this is incredible work. Yeah, I just want to say that.
Jazakallah.
Yeah,
Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah. And this is what we
Thank you
need. I
very much,
mean,
Dr. Zaid. I would just like complete our, the description of our work. So I think with this, we were able to do just the initial structured query work.
yes,
I also had invited Dr. Bilal. Unfortunately, he could not come, but he is an expert on Oracle and SQL-like settings and application development. So what we are doing is we are giving a structured query. Because currently we're not making use of big data as such, because it is just the Quran. And Quranic text we can download. We also have some description of the Quranic text. We have corpus.quran.com. For example, they specify that these are nouns and these are verbs and what kinds of nouns they are. So we do have some data. And now what the next step could be, we make a tool through which we can make these structured queries. This is one kind of work. I would just ask Huzaifa to also share his thesis with us. That would also indicate to you in more detail what he did. But moving on, we would also like to hear from you because, one outcome we would like is I have a better idea of what kind of research I should be focused on, because if I write a grant application, what kind of new features we could add. I would also try to work with Huzaifa to at least take this work to a position where other people can build upon it. Maybe have a website in which we describe what we have done, and try to make it. We had this as a goal, but because thesis work has to be completed in 6 months and all of those things.
Correct.
And he got a job, he got busy and stuff, but we will try to work on it. But we are now, we will share the thesis with you, but I would like to hear from you that apart from just these structured queries in terms of, for example, finding the web of meanings, the community, the connection of ideas, what kinds of things you have in mind, so that we can also start to think about those things.
Allah يكرمك يا رب ما شاء الله. Let me start with أخي Ildus and أخي Huzaifa. I am just your brother in Islam, Zaid Barzanji. I'm based in the United States, in Nashville, Tennessee. Alhamdulillah, I serve at the MAQSIDDE Institute, and my background is economics, really. But I've done, target modeling and big data and all that stuff. So I've used SAS and SQL in my previous life, and I've studied a little bit of Python, so I can follow some of the code that you're having there. And I've used, I did practice with some running some models, AI algorithm. So that is just really a very, very. I have baby steps in this field, mashallah. You are, alhamdulillah, you and dear Dr. Junaid, mashallah, expert here. Akhi Ildus, also, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to brother Huzaifa, and then you tell us what you have in mind for this project.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I'm Ildus Rafikov. I'm originally from Russia, and I'm here with Dr. Zaid. We are at MAQSIDDE Institute. And I'm not a technical person. I don't have any technical expertise in IT or in coding, except for HTML. I did some basic design of websites, and so this is just a bit. But I understand how complex it can be, because this is something that we would like to do, and we are doing. We've already have done something at MAQSIDDE Institute. The basic structure, the basic tool was done, and so my education was mainly in communications, mass communications, and then in banking and finance. Islamic banking and finance, and then philosophy and contemporary issues. So, and now this is the project that we are really interested in, and actually the project has started even before I joined MAQSIDDE Institute, and a company in Canada has produced a good job, mashallah, of building basic structure for connecting ayats with other ayats and ayats with hadith and vice versa. And so this was the basic project. And now we would like to move it forward. And of course, one of the moving forward ideas is to bring it to a minimally viable product whereby all the functionalities are working, and then it's the whole system, at least it works as a proof, not only as a proof of concept, but something that can be used. And right now there is a master's degree student at IIUM who is starting to work on that project, but that is going to be not like an LLP, NLP, or AI-based project, something simpler. And so this is why we called it a minimally viable product. And the document that we shared with you, maybe I can just show it here. Just a minute. So. I'll just share my screen. So this is the document that we shared with you, and this is what we have provided for to that master's degree student. And this was the like a vision for us to like the first minimally viable product. And of course, all of this purpose and objectives, and the purpose is to develop the system in order to enable and to support MAQSIDDE methodology research. So there is a specific methodology that we would like to introduce, that we would like to follow, and there is a book by Jasser Ouda, and so the main approach, the main methodology is the methodology of connectivity. And so we know and understand that the whole Quran is a whole Quran, it is connected. There is a lot of connections within the Quran, and also there is it is connected with the ahadith. And so once students or academicians, once you start realizing this connectivity, then you come up with new framework, with new ideas, with new understanding of the world around us. Okay, and so this is what we have developed as certain functional requirements, and we have given it to you, Prof. Junaid. I think we shared it with you, and also I'm not sure if I shared it with Brother Huzaifa, but you can take a look at it. And so what we see is that the intended audience is that it is, we would like to have it as a tool for researchers, when the researchers can go into the system and read the Quran and link the ayat. When they come in, they start reading the Quran with certain ideas, with certain research questions and research problems and the objectives, of course. And once they start reading, they would start linking some ideas, like they start identifying objectives and values and universal laws and proofs and some other. So out of 7 elements that we talk about, and so the researcher just goes through the reading and goes at least like 2, 3, or maybe at least 1 reading of the whole Quran, and while reading, there will be a lot of linkages with the ideas in the Quran. And so there is a research supervisor, of course, somebody who could check what the researcher has done and maybe approve or disapprove. And then administrators, libraries, and so on. And so this is a project scope here to introduce, to develop a minimally viable project. And at least the scope is the product is for research at least. So in this MVP, it is focused at least on the researcher. Then and here we did not talk about the AI part. And here there is this simple architecture of the system. So this is business logic and business data. So I'm not a technical person. I'm not going to go into any of this. And here are the product features. So we envision, I emphasize that this is a minimally viable product. And so we see that there is initial setup, creating research. Then a researcher will have research questions. And then the person will do the tadabbur, dawrat al-tadabbur, or thinking or reflecting upon the Quran. So there, we envision that the system will help the researcher with this Quran reflection. And so that the researcher will be going through reading and integrating and identifying the 7 elements that we talk about. So the objectives and the values, the groups and proofs and universal laws, and so on. And so then the research, once the researcher completes the Dawrat al-Tadabbur, then the person has already developed some framework, some conceptual understanding of what the Quran may tell about this particular problem or a phenomenon, and then that can be applied to further research. And then the research can be developed, and then at the end they can deliver. There are some deliverables, about the research. And so here are some of the components. So of course, this one this is already something at a bigger scale that we think of it as maybe a qualitative design or a qualitative research tool, like a QDA, qualitative data analysis tool. So maybe it could be incorporated into that. But of course, this is at a higher level that we thought. And here are some of the components that we see that it is the software itself. Then there is a e-library, and there is an expert of forums, and the QDA, the qualitative data analysis. Okay. So this is just simply the outline, and of course we have all the steps, initial step, how what we think, what we envision the researcher will do, and also the visualization of this. All right, so all of this is available right here, and you can take a look at it. And of course, we also have this user interface. So this is how we would like it to look like. And so this is just a suggestion of how it should look like. Now, saying all of this, and then also having looked at what you have developed, and also having looked at this website that I'm going to share with you. I don't know if you have seen this, QuranAnalysis.com. And I found it as a very nice tool as well, which does many of the things that we spoke about. I mean, this is Quran analysis, semantic analysis, just linguistic analysis of the Quran. And This is also a master's degree project by someone has done, I think, somewhere in UK. So you can just go into it and QuranAnalysis.com. You can also download all the data files, everything. It is all open for share. It's all open source. And it also does things like even if you go into Explore, and you see you can explore it by different terms, and it can be done either in English or in Arabic. So these tools are available. But in our case, we want to do something different as a tool for researchers, and that can identify all those different elements that we talk about from the methodology. And of course, at the higher level, we were thinking of maybe if there is a tool that is AI enabled, and it could be really helpful, and as a software tool, maybe it could be really helpful, not only for our university, but for many Islamic universities or researchers in phenomena studies, in disciplinary studies, in Islamic studies. So this is what we have in mind.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much, Akhi Ildus. If you allow me, and if we have time, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So ultimately, here's the simple, maybe objective, maqsad from this whole thing, is that we want the wahy, and wahy here, Quran and Sunnah, to become at the center of human knowledge. Right now, sadly, it is not even in Islamic universities, as in we don't really read and commit to reading the Quran Kareem from the beginning to the end to find answers, or like holistically. We usually just do maybe topic-based research, search for a few keywords and see what comes up, associate with that, and we're done. And here we're saying, no, you need to see the big picture of how all this amazing Quran Kareem, the ayat of the Quran Kareem, connect and interlink with each other, and then how the ayat of the Quran Kareem connect with the ayat in the Kawn, in Allah's creation. So that is then the ultimate connectivity that we want. And when we see that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, suddenly there is, miracles and beauties of the Quran Kareem and guidance become apparent to humanity at large, and to the believers specifically, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts light and nur in the heart of a believer, and with which they can see the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is kind of, the noble goal that we have. Now, once you get to, and so what I'm trying to envision here is that with your help, we need to really get to this next step where, let's say if this is like phase one was just create a simple prototype, phase two, get a minimum viable product. And with minimum viable product is basically saying we have already labeled data, we have vetted data, and we have just inputted this data. So we are benefiting from the scholarships of Muslims throughout history. People wrote about, economic terms, the Quran, about, geography and this and that in the Quran Kareem. People looked at, the links between ayat and surahs. People talked about, the circles in the Quran Kareem, based, thinking, the nazm of the Quran Kareem. So there is a massive amount of knowledge and wisdom that was put into this Quran Kareem. It behooves us to benefit from this knowledge. So that is, in a sense, you can say maybe phase two, if we can create a minimum viable product, and then we have people who can enter these labeled data. Then phase three comes in, well, we said, while we're doing all of this, we can, I mean, mashallah, it will be probably a very long project because it depends on how many resources we have and how many people we can employ or find volunteers to input this data. But then we can also use AI to discover new relationships that we have not thought of. And this is a tool that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. So here become the challenge of, I mean, let's simply like do ijtihad, see what we find out, like Akhi Huzaifa has done. That is wonderful, incredible work. So now, so let's continue that. Let's continue this work and see if the database, labeled database that we have can help. So what I'm trying to envision here is that, you see, if you, some of the work that we have done, it is finding out some rules, some helpful rules, like you've done. Specifically, if you look at, if you reference the Arabic version of the MAQSIDDE methodology book, so we have the Re-envisioning Islamic, scholarship, that was in English, and the English version does not contain a lot of the discussion of how Arabic language, Sheikh Jasser's analysis of the Arabic language and how they can be used to discover the 7 elements. There are like a whole bunch of pages and pages and pages. And we have Excel sheets that contain an effort to look at these. So these are rule-based. So perhaps, and then you're the expert here, that if you can look at that and see what would be like a kind of a hybrid approach where we have a learning maybe algorithm that looks at these rules, look at simple association, and then try to discover more contact, more examples like it. And then what we're trying to envision also in this AI phase is that we need a governance system around it, or a quality control and governance system. So we know that AI can predict, give us associations and predictions, and these associations and predictions come with a degree of, accuracy and, sensitivity, and can play around with these parameters to see that, to kind of manage the output. Then what I'm envisioning is that, imagine a continuously learning system. So if every day we're able, AI produces results, and then we have a group of, let's say, 3 to 5 graduate students or other experts who look at this and correct, either approve or reject labels. But we know that rejected labels and approved are both learning opportunity for the AI system, at least some of the AI algorithm. And then imagine we're continuously producing results and refining these results. And we start when we are building large sets of database that can be in the, of course, millions. So then that is kind of the future of, that can be the future of this product, of this project. Wallahu a'lam, inshallah.
Yes, thank you very much for arranging this call. I think this has been very instructive for us. Exchanging ideas is helpful. Just to share some of my thoughts, and because we have been doing some work. In fact, we wrote a paper on Quranic Arabic NLP. We'll share that with you. And we have been deliberating on this, that what is the role of NLP? Because especially in Quranic sciences, the role of AI is subservient to, the real people who are the fuqaha, who have been over the years, they have been deliberating over the Quranic concepts, and they have come up with an understanding. Our AI should be used as a tool. So we have some ideas. So in fact, we will share that with you, and we will look forward to your feedback, because that paper is currently under revision. It might be, inshallah, it will be accepted in a mainstream journals. So your input would be very helpful. And we're looking at this hybrid human and computational intelligence, combining these and building on top of the heritage that we have. So I also subscribe to this vision. And the other thing is, I also have some background in systems thinking. So these web of meanings and connectivity. So, but as you might appreciate, building something, a tool that can facilitate this is very complex. But what I can do is I'm planning is initially I can look for a graduate student, and then within Qatar, luckily we have Arabic speakers as well. And I can try to prepare over time a larger proposal in which we can ask for a team of researchers. And the kinds of things you have been talking about, making this a community project, I think that's useful because no single person can do it. We need to learn from how, for example, Wikipedia is managed, and we need to see how other large crowdsourced projects are done. Within software engineering, we have a system called GitHub. So people, they release their software, and other people can download it, they can fork it, they can make additions to it, and they can share it again. If it is any good, people will start using that. So what we can do is we can try to have initially, we just try to systematically integrate or add the current knowledge that is scattered in different books, and we try to aggregate what we already know and what
You froze there.
Yeah.
Until Dr. Junaid come back, Huzaifa, are you still online? You can hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Have you used AWS based services, or like done any of this under AWS, or this was too small, you can just run it independently like your Python? I saw you have PyChart, or PyCharm, or you're using.
Yeah, I have in my current job, I actually work on PyCharm for the development. So I have been developing codes. Actually, I work in a cybersecurity company which uses machine.
Good. Yeah. Good. So you're also cutting off. Khair, inshallah. I maybe will. Okay. Dr. Junaid is back. Yeah.
I'm sorry, we had a problem with the internet.
Subhanallah. And the light.
Yeah, move to a different room now.
No, inshallah khair ya Rab.
So I
just wanted to quickly add, like, we have we can provide access to AWS services if you want to run some of this work. And of course, with AWS comes all kind of AI capabilities. But if you also have these services through the university, then that's also wonderful. Also, a Journal of Contemporary MAQSIDDE Studies might be an option for you. It is a newer journal. It doesn't have ISI ratings or recognition and all that stuff. However, it is something that you can definitely consider publishing in.
Sure. And you mentioned that there was some material which is not there as part of the English MAQSIDDE methodology book, but it is part of the Arabic book. The students I'd be getting here would be Arabic speaking. So I think I can engage some students. So I would appreciate if you can share those files, the Excel files. And looking at that might help me also in creating a proposal. So I'm trying to get my ideas together in a coherent fashion, initially for a shorter proposal for just one student, but I will keep in mind, the grander scheme of things as well. And I will also talk to Huzaifa, and we will try to just wrap up the things we have done. However, I mean, this work will not be finished with just one thesis or one master's or PhD thesis. So we need to.
So let me emphasize maybe one thing, because that is 100% right. I mean, and this is all the wisdom is that how can we start with concrete baby steps, but we are building towards something great. But you are like the master architect, you're seeing this, envisioning the first step and and not, like the nth step, but at least the next 10 steps, inshallah. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all asking for us. But with every step, we will learn so much, and inshallah, it will open doors for us. But the key thing is this, again, the concept of, we do ijtihad, we make mistakes, we are rewarded, we make correct, stuff, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even increase the reward. So yes, so this is really, I'm hoping that the area that you can ta'ala help us with. And I know that there is a whole bunch of, mashallah, other professionals and who have done contributed a lot to this area. So maybe at the appropriate time, we can bring in some of these professors, like from International Islamic University, Dr. Muhammad Fawzan Nuruddin and Muhammad Akram. They really have done a lot. Even our dear brother Muhammad Khair from Quran Computing. There is a new organization called Quran Computing, the International Institute for Quran Computing. They started like a month ago, and they're all like basically a group of professors from around the world. I'm not sure if you are aware of it or you're part of it already. So there is some groupings, but and they're doing a lot. So there's a lot happening. It will be great if we can, highlight and that there is a serious project. Maybe we'll just start doing some of this work. But it's clearly the technicalities of this project is way beyond my capability. So I'm really grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that there is in the Ummah of Muhammad specialists like you, alhamdulillah, to help carry this amana.
It's my honor to participate in this, and I mean, with all my humble capabilities, I'm very happy to chip in. So I think what I am gunning for is, creating a proposal, initially a small proposal, keeping in mind my own limitations and other engagements. So initially, I would try to create a short proposal, and once that is made, I'll share that with you. And I will also try to, at the same time, see the larger proposal that I can create. That usually takes more time. And for example, in Qatar, we have Qatar National Research Fund, which funds large projects. And they do emphasize projects that are aligned with Arabic and Islamic identity. So I think that this also fits with that. We would have partners like MAQSIDDE Institute. We are also, Qatar is also home to many researchers who are experts in Arabic NLP. I am myself someone who is an outsider in this field. I am from other communities, networking and data science, but since I'm not a native Arabic speaker as well, but we do have people here who are proficient in this kind of research. The best researchers in Arabic NLP, some of them, they work here, for example, in QCRI. So I agree with your proposal of going to them at appropriate time. Like even in our survey, we did the initial work ourselves. And when it was in recent stage, we went to experts to ask their feedback. So inshallah, I will try to follow up on my part. I hope to have the proposal ready. It's going to be a short proposal, but inshallah, over time, hopefully, this will bear fruit. And I will keep this in mind. It may be that, the larger proposal might take a few months, maybe a year as well, because even QNRF, they don't have currently an open proposal. So likely it will be open next year. I hope to have something ready in time for that. So I will, where I need your input, inshallah, I'll try to reach out. I'll also talk to other people here, trying to see, other people who we can get on board for this project. And it's my pleasure to talk to you, inshallah, and to learn about all of these things. MashaAllah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
just a quick question, because you shared with us the application for grant application for data science based computing solution for promoting MAQSIDDE methodology.
Yes, yes.
So do you need anything, any support from us? Let's say any ideas or anything, or maybe for our people to take a look at this proposal and help you with that?
Yeah, I think I'll initially write something. I'll try to create something based on our discussion, and at an appropriate time, I'll share that with you. I'll try to have you as a partner, someone from MAQSIDDE Institute as a partner, so that they can guide the research as well. The Arabic Excel sheet that you mentioned, if you can share that, that can be helpful for me just to see what kind of analysis has already been done. And your help would be very useful when I have written something initially. Then your feedback can come, and over time we can try to come up with a very strong proposal, inshallah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I gave Eldus has access to the Excel sheet, and also double check with Sister Hiba, because she is the one who was working on and created the label data. And actually, even the label data should be there on the GitHub. It should be there because that was created. So it's probably even more facilitated or easier to access.
I can give access to our GitHub page. I mean that account.
There you go.
So if you have somebody, or maybe yourself or your colleagues, just give me your email, or I can use your email, and then I can provide access to it, inshallah.
Inshallah, I'll share that.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much again for everything. Alhamdulillah. And then we look forward to working together, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, facilitate tawfiq, and inshallah.
Thank you, Huzaifa. Thank you, Dr. Zaid. Thank you, Dr. Ildos.
Thank you.
سبحان ربك رب العزة
عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.